Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Boston Celtics Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
Oh yeah!
Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Boston Celtics Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
Banner 18.
J. King Jam Pickett in the B-Roll.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
The Jay-Z White in the catalog.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
The kids are legends to go.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Boston Celtics Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
Oh yeah!
I just had to go to a bathroom.
Welcome back to Still Poddable, the best Celtics podcast covering your 2024 world champion Boston Celtics. I am Sam Jam Packard, joined by Brian B. Rob of MassLive.com. We are Still Poddable Monday through Friday Celtics podcast on Patreon.com. This is the free version. We have one free version every week on the CLNS YouTube page. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks and Game Time. Use the promo code CLNS on either one of those apps for great deals. And if you enjoy the podcast today, please go to patreon.com/stillpoddable and subscribe today for, again, Monday through Friday Celtics content. We got great pods every single day throughout the entire summer, and we'll be building back up for the Celtics title defense. And B-Rob, perhaps the star of the Celtics, might have a little fuel to the fire, a little fuel in his belly, because Jayson Tatum once again did not play. Let's talk about, I think, the Tatum angle second, because it was, if you remove the Tatum part of it, a very, very thrilling basketball game. So the Team USA coming back down 15 against Serbia in the semifinals to win that game. If I'm being honest, in watching in the second half, or mostly in the fourth quarter, I had completely forgotten about the Tatum thing. I was just like, can these guys pull off the comeback?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to Steve Kerr, it was one of the greatest basketball games that he had ever been part of. I think that was...
all saying that. Durant saying that. Curry saying that.
I mean, I think that's pretty wild to say. It was a far more entertaining basketball game than everyone expected, but this wasn't like a masterpiece of all masterpiece. I mean, Serbia got hot as hell. USA didn't switch, didn't defend well for a lot of this game. And then they got their act together in the fourth quarter and buckled down. Embiid came alive. LeBron did LeBron things. Everyone kind of checked the boxes. Curry, Durant, all great. And they won. It was great. It was compelling. But this greatest game ever garbage is a bit much.
Are you saying that those guys are prisoners of the moment? I've seen many videos I've seen of Kevin Durant being like, you got to celebrate this. Everyone's going to remember where they were for this game. They might be a little bit too much captured in the moment right there.
Just a little bit. But no, I mean, it was good. This is what I thought we were going to get more of this tournament with all these teams, the Canadas of the world and the Germanys and whatnot. Now, we see those two teams get knocked off. But yeah, Serbia, they had some pride here. They put up a good fight. Bogdanovic is legit. I think I've always had a lot of respect for Bogdan there, and I loved how he was. Did you like the going at Melo? Did you like just
is there a history of beef there that I'm unaware of?
But that was great.
Like going after him, if he's going to sit courtside and be vocal, then why not go after him? Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun to see the U.S. team go up against an actual opponent, and play in a close game. It turns out if you surround Jokic with a bunch of guys who can knock down threes, it's probably going to be a pretty good strategy. And Serbia came out very hot to begin with, and it felt like the United States defense were like very concerned about Jokic, and we're like, we're going to be fine with Bogdanovic or Micic or other guys' names who I don't remember and probably can't pronounce, knocking down threes. And Serbia definitely...
Dravic?
Yeah, another Vic. I'm sure there's many Viches, Dobric. And it felt like the USA was kind of like fine with that. They really just didn't have anything going on the offensive end and didn't really pick up their defensive intensity until they're down 15 headed into the fourth quarter. I will say it was very cool to see on like consecutive possessions. It was like Steph 3, LeBron bully ball to the rim, and then Durant with the long jumper to seal it. Like, that is what I think that this team has been about. It's mostly been about those three guys, and it was cool. I think in that moment, it's like, oh, they're challenged. They've dug themselves a hole. Can they bring themselves back? And so to see the emotions and all, like, those guys after the win playing together, it was just I don't know. I had fun watching basketball this afternoon, which is, I guess, all you can ask for in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, Steph was incredible for most of this. I mean, they would have been down by 25 in the first half probably if it wasn't for him. Just
He had 9 threes.
Right. He was the only guy that could hit, and the USA was just getting nothing in the paint early on. I don't know, like, they weren't even going there, but everyone else was pretty much ice cold across the team. But yeah, the sequence between that and, I mean, the huge surprise for me was that Embiid showed up in the fourth quarter.
Embiid was great he scored 7 straight points there, was solid on defense. He kept giving, I don't know what the coaching decision was, but they just kept giving a switch to Jokic. Like, Embiid would switch off Jokic, and then Jokic would get like one-on-one against either Durant or Devin Booker. And I was like, that doesn't seem like good. So, like, why are we just giving this so easily? Other than that, and like a turnover here and there, Joel Embiid showed up, and I've taken a lot of shots at him and will continue to take a lot of shots at him. But when he performs well, you have to give him credit for that.
Were you kind of rooting for him have a collapse in those last 5 minutes, them to lose, and Embiid just to be the pure scapegoat?
If it was Embiid's fault, it would have made it fun. But I did have the patriotism kick in. It was like, oh, come on, you got to do it. You can't let the Serbians take it. For some reason, I'm just anti-Serbian all of a sudden. But yeah, no, it is harder to root for Embiid when he's on the court. But I thought he did a solid job. And it's like weird. Like, the lineup eventually worked, the closing lineup that Kerr went to. I mean, it's weird because the United States team won the fourth quarter 32-15. And it's just like, well, why can't you just try doing that in the first 3 quarters? If, like, you can just ramp up this defensive intensity and then just, like, really start playing that hard, maybe you don't get yourself and fall into this giant hole.
Because it's all the old guys. It's like LeBron doesn't play defense unless he has to play defense. Same with Steph. Devin Booker, can try, but he's just not a good defender anyway. And so you just, if you're relying on those guys for most of the game, it's like they're not going to show up defensively most of the game. And same with Embiid. Like, Embiid too, like, from an intensity standpoint, he was at a far different level in the fourth quarter, whether it was rebounding or just, being aggressive with his positioning. So, it all came together. It made for great drama. It made for, like, what a day in Olympic basketball, which we'll get to in a bit with the France Germany game. But it was fun. Like I said, to see those icons kind of put together back to back there.
For the greatest game in basketball history.
For the greatest Olympic game.
Remember where they were on August 8th, 2024.
I can remember like 3 Olympic games off the top of my head that were better than that game. Like
Spain, USA.
Yeah, Spain, USA 2008. Like, that was like far more compelling than that. I guess, Serbia was up. I guess USA hadn't had to fight back from that far. But as far as, like, talent and level of execution, certainly those teams are far better than this Serbia team. Even though they kind of help the fight.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. With the finals over, the hoops action doesn't have to stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is still heating up with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson. You could win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
And so the bench, which I think had been a strong point for the United States in this tournament up until today, was really did nothing. I mean, Kevin Durant scored 7 points in the fourth that were like very important, but then Bam, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, and Derek White really didn't do much. And I think this is where we can fold the Tatum discussion into this, because like I don't think anyone's gonna have any beef with Tatum's not like down the clutch playing like with that closing lineup. Like obviously it's Steph, LeBron, Durant, Embiid's giant. You need someone to go up against Jokic, but he doesn't play again against Serbia. It's the same team.
Those matchups, Packard. Those Serbia matchups get Tatum every time.
Don't really get it. Like I was trying to figure out, like maybe they play Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker because you want some faster guys on some guards, but then you also have Derek White to do that. You have Drew Holiday. Anthony Edwards was just bad in this game with just like turnovers, gambling on defense. I get it. Like maybe you're not going to play him over Bam and Anthony Davis because, I mean, Jokic played 38 of 40 minutes, so you're going to want a big out there. But Bam and Anthony Davis really didn't do anything in this game. Maybe it's a match. I just don't. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know if Jayson Tatum's mom's clearly somewhat upset about this, quote tweeting Dickie V being like, it's absurd that this is happening, but I don't know what to say at this point. Tatum seems to be handling it well, and if he is pissed off, he's not being very public about it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect anything less from him, just in terms of how he's handled any type of adversity over the course of his career. But no, this is a game when the USA, I think, could have used a defensive spark, and strategically, with the way Serbia was shooting threes, even if you're like, oh, Tatum is, not in our top 10 here, and we're down here, like, you're with the way Anthony Edwards is playing and the dumb mistakes he was making defensively, it's like, oh, maybe we give Tatum a look here. Maybe we get a spark from that first team All-NBA guy if he is still buried in the Steve Kerr's depth chart for whatever reason. But from a versatility standpoint, from a rebounding standpoint, taking all the offensive stuff aside, Tatum deserved to play in this game. And now it's gone from, and clearly they're playing to win. Steve Kerr is throwing out the lineups he thinks is giving this team the best chance to win. But this is a game, I feel like, Packard, particularly where it's like you needed some defense and versatility out there, and Tatum's probably a lot better, is probably top 5 on the team, period, in terms of checking those boxes. So now it's gone from a situation where, oh, he didn't play one game, but greater good, whatever. Now, like, this is going to be the story of the Olympics now for, I think, big picture wise, what people are going to remember now is going to be like, okay, Tatum didn't play. And it's going to be fascinating just to see how things unfold Saturday on this front with him, and moving forward with Team USA after he was, quote, humbled again by the situation.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to, like, does it piss him off so much he doesn't come back for 2028 because he's still a young guy and all the old guys are not going to be there anymore? What happens if he plays on Saturday? I feel like he's probably going to play somewhat on Saturday, but I agree with you. The second quarter, when things are not going well, maybe it's not time to bring back Devin Booker or bring back Anthony Edwards. It is shorter quarters. Like, there's less opportunities, and maybe you just want to go back to the starters. Like, it's not like the bench played a lot of minutes. I mean, Derek White only got 7 minutes in this game. Davis and Adebayo only 10.
Yeah,
but
like he trimmed the rotation in the second half. Like, it was more of a, which you get, but still, like, there's still plenty of opportunities here.
Also, it feels like Tatum, the criticism I've heard of Tatum is like, oh, his shot's not there, right? And it's like his reluctance to shoot, but they weren't getting anything in the paint. And Tatum's pretty good at driving into the paint and making decisions off of that. And so it feels like there was an opportunity there. It feels like also there's a lot of times where the Serbia was just getting a lot of offensive boards where I feel like Tatum's size on the defensive glass would have been helpful. It's going to be interesting. I feel like it's going to fuel him. Not that I think that he necessarily needed it, but with this and Jaylen, I got to give a nice tip of the cap to Steve Kerr for allowing the two Boston Celtics, basically tip the cap to all of USA basketball for pissing off this defending champ Boston Celtics, making sure there's no complacency heading into the defense of the title run. And I am very excited to see when the Celtics play the Warriors next year, because that's just the type of things basketball players and athletes use for motivation. And Tatum, I think one of the more humble stars in the league, never someone who's going to come out and say he's pissed off. But definitely this has to just be he's all NBA player for 3 years in a row. This has to piss him off. You can see him. He's not like Tyrese Halliburton on the sideline. And I think some people might give him shit for that, where Tyrese Halliburton's the ultimate cheerleader and is very thrilled to be there. And I think to expect Tatum to be that same way, Tatum's just never been like that. He's not a huge sideline guy. He's often the guy on the bicycle, far removed from the team. He's not the biggest hoorah guy on the bench. He's not Malik Fitz over here. But I think that he's got to be pissed off, just pissed off a little bit, and he knows there's gonna be some attention on him, and he's not going to show it. But I do think this is what athletes do. You take small slights and you use them as major motivation heading into next season.
Yeah, and this isn't a small one. This is, I think, a gigantic one in terms of being on a worldwide stage, if nothing else. And so I'm putting it to you. This is going to probably be. We'll spend a whole podcast on this later before training camp. But right now, in your head, Packard, who has the bigger chip on their shoulder, Tatum or Brown, based on how this is played out here heading into next season?
That's a good question. Is it better to be invited but then not allowed to dance, or to be not invited at all? I think they're going to try and save face with France, and he's going to play a little bit against France. They're going to try to make it not a story. Jaylen's is going up not against all of UA basketball, but all of USA basketball and all of Nike. I feel like Jaylen has more spite in his heart, and so he has created a bigger chip on his shoulder than Tatum will have.
I agree with that. There's more fuel to fire, and and Jaylen just has a track record, I think, of using those slights even more than Tatum has. So, but that is
Tatum has a big history of people being I don't think this Tatum guy is very good. His whole life, people have been so this is probably a first in Jayson Tatum's career of him not even getting an opportunity. In the past, it's been his performance didn't rise to the level that maybe we thought it was, but that you can he's reflected on that after the Warriors series, he was I'm not sure if I'm good enough, but that is a reflection on you trying your damnedest and coming up short. This is not even getting the opportunity, and so I'm very curious. I would love, I don't know when it's going to come out. Maybe it's 5 years from now. Maybe it's 10 years from now. But the unfiltered Jayson Tatum on what his feelings actually were in this moment, I'm going to be fascinated with that, because I feel like we never get a great peel back look into what Tatum's actually thinking. And so I think it's rare. I'd be shocked if we got kind of a look at this anytime soon, but I would love to hear what his private conversations are with his trainers, or with Brett Hampton or things like that. What's going on. He's got to be pissed off. Yeah,
no, there's no doubt. And it's just, I do think, the magnitude of just how loud this is. I can't even think of a comparison in past Olympics where there's been a player of this caliber who has been sat just to sit, based on merit, compared to the rest of the rotation. I know this is a very loaded team, but there's still, I think, more than half this roster, including a couple of Tatum's teammates, that he should probably be playing over consistently. And so for that to kind of be to be this drawn out, and be this much of a story in a game where USA could have lost is just it's just a fascinating subplot to this Olympics heading into next year.
I saw this story recently, but in '96, Shaq only played 2 minutes in the gold medal game because it was David Robinson's last Olympics. And he was so pissed off that he threw his gold medal out the window driving.
Wow.
Home. So there maybe is some of this. He played in all the other games before that, and it was like...
And at least got in. Like, no one remembers that, and I guess you looked it up, but like...
I had recently saw it, but that's also... It was 96 where... It was clearly not a competitive Olympics, and they were blowing teams out, and so slightly a different thing where it's feel like that was just a gift to David Robinson to kind of end his career. It wasn't like they were thinking, "Oh, Shaq, you're not good enough to help us win these games." So totally different. I do not see Jayson Tatum throwing a potential. Maybe he'd throw a silver medal out the window. Like if they come up short against France, maybe he doesn't hold on to that. But that doesn't seem like it's within Jayson Tatum's personality. He's on Instagram. He's posting all the team photos of them like hanging out on that cool Parisian stoop, which I don't know how they found it, but they're taking multiple pictures there. It was a cool look. I do like those Instagram photos.
Surprised fans aren't camping out there unless that's just closed off.
Did they clear that off?
Yeah, they must be closed. Security must have that wrapped up for them.
Too? Like it just is like the go-to stoop for pictures of the basketball team of like we're gonna have a bunch of 6'8" guys hang out on giant stairs. We got the perfect place in France. So we'll see. It will be interesting.
Well, here you go. Going into Saturday, Packard, I know how Tatum can get back into the rotation. He goes into Steve Kerr's office on Friday and says, "Listen, this Gershon Yabusele guy, I guarded him.
I know him.
I know what he's got. It's all he likes to use his ass, and I put on some muscle, a few pounds. I'm not sure how many exactly. 10, 11, 12.
I won't tell you anything about Gershon unless you can guarantee me at least 7 minutes."
Hey, do you know what's fun summertime activity? Going down to Fenway and watching the Red Sox play baseball. I did it a couple days ago, and it was a lot of fun, and I got there using Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, and with last-minute deals, all-in prices, and views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. If you went on Game Time, you could have seen the Boston Celtics celebrate the World Championship with the trophy. Joe Mazzulla looking like a second baseman there. Game Time is the absolute best place to get last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. It's easy to find and buy MLB tickets for any other kind of event in your area. You get to view seats from the venue. And again, that has that lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection. It's got everything you want, including zone deals, all-in pricing, and ticket coverage. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
But we got to talk about Yabu. Yabu, the leading scorer for France, 17 points, 7 boards. France upsets Germany, and they'll be playing for the gold medal game. It's just it was a lot of fun watching that game. I think the fact that the games are in Paris and the home court environment is absolutely electric. And they showed some graphic as like, as Yabu's minutes have gone up, his points have gone up, and France has started winning again. It's like there's a direct 1-to-1 correlation between the amount of Yabu and the amount of winning France has done. And it's just a lot of fun for everyone.
Yeah, and it's cool to see him, like, he played well in the 2021 Olympics too, but like now he's a fully like in his prime as a player in his late 20s, and he's lost some weight. He's just a fun watch. I mean, he was a fun watch back in the day, but now he's kind of put it all together. And to see him doing this against the Franz Wagners of the world, and
physically dominant than he was even like as a Celtics. He's always been Yabu.
I think he caught up, I thought, with Gary Washburn after the game during the post game media scrums and recognized Gary as someone, who covered him in Boston and already acknowledged there being like, hey, tell Brad to bring me back. And so the fact is probably not going to happen. But at the same time, I think he's played well enough in this tournament here where he deserves maybe a shot somewhere else. Now, he signed to Real Madrid. I'm not sure exactly how long he's under contract for, whether there's a buyout for him. But after these performance in the Olympics, I would imagine some team is probably going to at least give him an opportunity. Now, whether they give him guaranteed money or not is another equation, but they should based on just how well he's played here. Packard, are you back with us?
Am I back? Can you hear
You're
me
back.
now?
You're back. We got you now.
You got to bring back Yabu. He's basically going to Gary Washburn of the Globe saying, I want to come back to Boston. They haven't re-signed O'Shea Brissett. There's an open roster spot there. They need a small ball five, a big body in there for when Kristaps is not there. I don't care what the transfer fee is. Bring back Yabu. Everyone wants more Yabu. And he's just been a very solid basketball player. It's a win-win for everyone involved. It's the 15th man. It really doesn't ultimately matter, but especially if he takes down the United States in the gold medal game, you got to reward him for that sort of international domination. And I think it's going to be a very, very fun game on Saturday. It's in France. Joel Embiid's like the enemy of France right now. You've seen the home court advantage. Going up against Wemby is difficult. What happens with Rudy Gobert? Does Team USA all hate Rudy Gobert? Probably. Does everyone hate Rudy Gobert? Yes. He only played 5 minutes in this game against Germany, and so he's also been frozen out. I guess he's been lucky because he's been overshadowed by Tatum not playing.
How rough is that for Tatum? But it's like, oh man, even Gobert's playing.
Even Gobert gets 5. Oh, Gobert's playing for France, I guess. So Tatum sees a bunch of MVPs out there. I did see there was 5 MVPs on the floor to close that USA-Serbia game, which is pretty cool. Like, that rarely happens. I'm trying to think of the 5th one right now. I don't know. Was there 5 or was there 4?
So LeBron, Durant,
KD, Steph, Jokic. Did I make up the 5th one?
And then
I made up the 5th one.
Embiid.
Oh, yeah, and Embiid. Maybe because I don't recognize that MVP in my brain. Yes, 5 MVPs out there. But back to France, USA, Saturday, gold medal game. I think it's going to be a very fun environment. I do think Serbia is much more talented than this French team. Like, the French team can't score.
French team can score, but they can certainly defend a lot better than
Yeah,
Serbia.
but it was 33-33 at halftime of this France-Germany game. Like, neither team could really score, but their French guards just don't have a lot of offense. Wemby doesn't have a lot of offense in this tournament. I think the Team USA should be able to pull it out, but I thought they should be able to handle Serbia multiple times. They've said it a bunch of times. It's like it's hard to beat a team 3 times, and I guess in 3 weeks, and so that maybe that's the excuse. The Celtics Team USA has not played France yet, so it'll be the first time, but it's going to be interesting to see how that matchup goes. But like, maybe it's the type of thing where it's like, the 1980 Olympic hockey team. The miracle on ice was against Russia, was in the semifinal game, and they still had to beat Finland. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds right.
In the gold medal game, it feels like they probably had the big moment in the semifinal game, and it'll probably be, if I had to guess, more of a letdown against France. But I think the environment, with it being the French team making this kind of surprise run in Paris, I think it will be definitely a cool event, and we'll see what happens. Maybe Tatum scores 40 points. Who knows?
If Evan Fournier turns back the clock, then anything's possible, which he did that a couple games ago. And that's the guy that, they need him. They need him, and they need Wemby to go nuts. Like, Wemby's been out there, but he's been shooting like shit for a lot of these games, which have turned into rock fights. France won today shooting 22% from 3. Yeah. So that, again, which is wild just how much Germany choked away that game. Like, France put up a really fun fight. And they, were probably the harder playing team, but Germany was trash for a lot of that game, and just
they scored 8 points in the second quarter. The Germans.
Yeah, it was just brick after
and
brick.
Daniel Tice got dunked on by Wemby.
Yeah, Tice had it's a tough night for Tice. I mean, he gave him some chances late, but he was set up he got dunked on a bunch of times. I don't know if you thought a lot that was thrown to him that it was a race too.
Wemby really kind of dominated him at the rim.
Old friend Dennis Schroeder, some tough clutch misses at the free throw line as well. So, but yeah, it's certainly USA should take care of them handily, but given all the X factors involved, we could have some fireworks here, or maybe USA has a bad shooting night because Steph, they shot 50% from 3-point range today. And so that is something that is wild that they barely won that game despite shooting that well from 3, and kind of shows you.
Serbia started off red hot from 3, and they kind of cooled off, which I think changed that game. But speaking of Wemby, the Christmas Day games are out, according to Shams Charania of The Athletic. And Wemby is making his Christmas Day debut against the Knicks. I would have maybe in the first game. So it's going to be Spurs at Knicks, Timberwolves at Mavericks, 76ers at your Boston Celtics, Lakers at Warriors, and then the Nuggets at the Suns. B-Rob, any hot takes, any hot reactions for these Christmas Day matchups?
I'm kind of stunned they're throwing the Spurs on Christmas Day, but I guess that's the Wemby effect. Wemby and MSG, can he score 50 points on a really good team? I guess that's what they're going to be throwing him out there for. I am interested to see, will that Celtics game get the prime 5 p.m. window, or is that reserved for Lakers Warriors? That'll be
the Lakers and the Warriors aren't going to be good.
That's the thing. It's going to be the play-in tournament. But will they get higher ratings than Celtics Sixers? The question is, or maybe not, because the Sixers, that's going to be, if that's the first time those teams play during the season, which is very much possible for a Christmas game, that would be must-see TV on Christmas Day for the East.
I think it's going to be a very good game against the 76ers. I've completely forgotten that the 76ers added Paul George. And so there's going to be much more spice to that game. I've just not really, registered that. I was hoping for Celtics Knicks because I do think the Celtics are on top, and the Knicks, I feel like teams have, or people have anointed the Knicks as the number 2 team in the East. And so I was kind of I do like the Celtics. I like the idea of Celtics. For some reason, I like the idea of Celtics at Knicks in MSG on Christmas Day. But if the Celtics are defending champs, they should probably get the Christmas Day home game. I was also surprised by the Spurs. I feel like the Bucks kind of got insulted here.
Yeah.
The Thunder definitely got insulted here. And I guess you're going for more sizzle. I've heard people saw some commentary be like, oh, they got to go for the big markets. Well, then you're going for San Antonio?
Right.
It's I don't know. I think the Bucks deserve to be there. I think it would make sense to have 4 teams in the East and 6 teams from the West. I get the Lakers and Warriors. They have LeBron and Steph. They're not good teams. Neither of those teams are going to be good. And I don't think, maybe it's blasphemous to say that they shouldn't be on Christmas Day. They shouldn't be on Christmas Day. It should be Bucks at Knicks and then play the Spurs against the Thunder and display your best basketball players. And you should be striving to have the 10 best teams play on Christmas, not just the 7 best teams, Wemby, and then 2 aging stars. I know the Lakers and Warriors have 2 big markets, but they're not going to be good teams, and that's not going to be a compelling basketball game. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
They're worried about the NFL. You got to put on the biggest stars to go up against NFL games.
But have faith in your product of put good basketball on.
I agree with you, Packer, but that's just that LeBron, no matter, they're going to, even if you won't see LeBron or Steph Curry get bumped from any TNT games as if those teams, fall out of it. And that just shows you the reach those guys still have, even as they go past their primes. But as we see in these Olympics, they can still put up some pretty memorable games, and that's what they're going to be banking on ABC. That people, who cares if it's a couple of 500 teams, we just want to see those guys play.
But will it? I just don't think it works. I don't think it works that way. If it's a bad LeBron or a bad LeBron Lakers versus a bad Steph Warriors, people aren't going to tune in. People are going to be, especially if it's like a later zone, they're going to be flipping over the NFL game. Like, put your best teams in that opportunity. OKC should definitely be on there. Is it silly to care about this much about a game that is scheduled for 4.5 months from now? Maybe. But that's the kind of if the news is released today about the NBA schedule, I'm going to react to it. And we got the news about 10 minutes before recording. So bad job, NBA. Bad job.
Well, I'm looking forward to the full schedule coming out. I'm guessing next week at this point, if this is leaking now, we'll probably get that. And then
we'll review every game.
We'll go week by week the rest of the season.
That's the Still Poddable promise. If you're listening here on CLNS and you want game by game breakdown in August of every game of the 2024-2025 season, go to patreon.com/Still Poddable. If you want just normal basketball analysis, you can also go to patreon.com/Still Poddable. We are churning out podcasts every day for you, Monday through Friday. It's a very cool community over there. Join on Patreon. We got chat going on. We do mailbags all the time. It's very interactive, and we enjoy all the feedback we get from the listeners. And so we really appreciate everyone for listening, and we'll be back on Sunday, pod ready for Monday morning, reacting to whatever happens in the gold medal game. Will it be a Jayson Tatum redemption? Will Jayson Tatum take the microphone at the end of the game and promise revenge on Steve Kerr? Maybe we'll get a schedule next week and we'll be able to circle the Warriors games. And so we'll get to be able to figure out when Jayson Tatum gets his actual revenge on Steve Kerr. Who knows? But whatever happens, we'll be bringing it to you here on Still Poddable. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable. The positive, Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
Oh, yeah.
Slow down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.